As far as climate change and science is concerned, about 8 years ago, the 16 military intelligence groups, I didn't even know there were 16 military intelligence groups, got together, and what they said was that the biggest threat to the United States or to the world is climate change, okay? And what we have is one party denying climate change, denying that there's even warming, and then saying there's warming, but it's due to just random situations. To Jeff Johnson, when he was running for governor, this past year, saying, yes, there is climate change, it's due to fossil fuels burning, but we can't do anything about it, So what's going on in the legislature? Are the Republicans starting to switch a little bit?
Nobody wants to argue that anymore with us. I'll tell you that, for the most part, at least publicly. You have to remember that this battle against climate change goes back to the John Birch Society in the 50s and 60s. I mean, this has been a long time pledged out in the shadows, liberal conspiracy, they say, about how to control business. And I don't know what more we can do. This denial of science and the reality. I mean, you know how hard it is to get 20 scientists to agree on something? Get 1,000 scientists. I mean, literally how hard it is to get their egos all on the same page. 98% of all scientists agree that this is a real thing.
Doctor.
I will I will tell you that whenever I hear it, it gets pretty sarcastically beaten back. And I'm not even like apologizing. It's just insane. It's insanity to think this is going on. It's a politically motivated argument. If you want to get in the argument about whether or not human beings cause it or not, I guess you can get into more of a thoughtful argument about that. But the results of what is actually causing the climate change and who is actually creating the CO2 is, I mean, pretty unrefutable. And so the fact that we're having this discussion is kind of scary, that we have to have this fight, that there are people in power that do that. Know that when we're up there, we give no quarter to people that are going to be in denial of science. I do the same thing with anti-vaxxers. I just don't buy into that whole anti-science thing, and so it's a real problem. And I know that we're going to, you're seeing it change. I mean, my Republican friends that know better, that are, or I should say that are maybe not to the far right, all say, yeah, I know you're right. I'm not going to argue about that anymore. And that's what they do. And so we don't really have that problem like that anymore. I think you're just seeing it. Honestly, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I really think this is still being kept alive through the national politics of the current president and the media as a thing to talk about. I don't feel like, at least in any meaningful way, that that's going to have a huge impact on how our decisions make, other than it polarizes political arguments.
I mean, I think we have moved to the point where instead of arguing about it, then the argument becomes, then the line has moved from, oh, well, we don't even know if that's real, to, well, what can we do about it? Whatever. And I know that when I walk by the governor's office on my way to the House floor, many times there are young people who are so concerned and really putting themselves on the line and putting a lot of effort and time into making sure that we're paying attention to this. And so I think, we historically have been concerned about, oh, young people don't vote, they're not paying attention to things, they don't care, whether it's millennials or generation, whatever it is, double Z, whatever. They shouldn't have started with X.
I know, right? Yeah. Should have. That makes sense.
To see young people meaningfully engaged and honestly could go toe-to-toe arguing with any of us and advocating for this, I think we need to pay attention to that, because that's the future, and whether you're motivated because it's the right thing to do or you're motivated because those are the future voters, either way, we should be doing all that we can to address it as soon as possible. And on the House side, we do have, for the first time ever, we have climate change is in, climate is in the name of one of our committees, and Representative Jean Wagenius, Chair Wagenius, is leading that. If you haven't watched that, there are they did some great informational hearings about climate change, the impacts on our forests, all those things, our water, and Jean Wagenius is one of the absolute smartest people in our entire legislature, and so I am so happy that she's able to lead on this issue.
I think we're actually out of time now. We're past our time.